What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? So, this video is definitely going to be different from anything else I've ever done before. Well, on this channel, I've alluded to this story about me running into a cult. Now, listen, I know that I can be a silly guy, I can make a lot of jokes and say all kinds of ridiculous stuff. I like to have fun and have a good time. But the truth is, I encountered a cult, and to this very day, it is one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me. Because it wasn't like I just ran into a cult like a religious cult. I ran into a cult at an abandoned, haunted school. And I'm going to tell you guys the story. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this story. Because I've been asked enough about it, it's time to just get it out. And if I freak myself out telling this, then just bear with me. So the story goes back to 2014. At this point in my life, I had gone to nursing school and I had gotten my LPN license. The reality is I didn't like it. I was practicing at different places, retirement homes, I was working at drug rehab facilities, and I was pretty disgusted with the way the medical business is run. The reality is it was all business. The fact is that I don't think that people are truly cared for by insurance companies and things like that, but that's a whole nother story. That really soured me, but the truth is I'm just a blue-collar guy. It wasn't a job that I was passionate about doing. I didn't want to go to college, but my mom wanted me to have some sort of higher education. I understand that now, but at the time I just didn't want to go to college. So it was around 2014. I had been working as a nurse for over a year and just wanted to do something else. My wife, then girlfriend at the time, her dad had been in the oil field since the 70s. Now at this time, in 2013, a lot of my friends that I knew were making hand over fist in the oil field. They would work 2 weeks on for some of these jobs and work 2 weeks off. Some of them worked all the time, but they were making, I don't know, like over $2,000 a week, making really good money. I wanted to do it. I wanted to get in and make some money. So finally, in the summer of 2014, I was able to get a job working in the oil field, and my father-in-law had helped me procure that job. I worked that job starting in the fall of 2014 and start working in a job that was insanely difficult. My first weekend there, I'll never forget getting a call on Saturday afternoon that a job that was going to be done on a few days down the week was now going to be done tonight or tomorrow morning. Well, we had to go to the yard at like 5 in the evening, prep everything from 5 in the evening till 7 in the morning, and then at 7 in the morning we drove out to location to assemble all the parts on this job and got off work at 5 the next day. I worked 24 hours straight. That was my first Saturday on the job. I don't miss that. And then after that, the bottom fell out of the oil field. I wasn't making any money. They cut everybody's pay. Gas went down to $2 a gallon. Usually I'm happy about that, but when you're in the oil field, you want those gas prices to be a little higher. Now you're probably wondering, why am I telling you all this? Well, you need to understand something. When I was working this job, I would go to some godforsaken areas. For instance, I remember working in South Texas on jobs where I was told at certain times, if you see black Escalades or big black vehicles with the windows completely tinted out, don't look at them. Just mind your business, stay looking down and do your job. And I remember asking a guy that was a seasoned worker there, why? What's the deal with that? He said, that's the cartel. They won't bother you if you don't bother them. I did not look up when I saw one of those vehicles, and I think I did on more than one occasion. Anyway, it was now early 2015. I'd been working this job for a few months now and getting my bearings. And there was this one job that me and a coworker had to go do where we were torquing and testing up equipment to make sure it was ready for flow, so to speak. So we were going out to this job to do this. Now, I'm going to exclude the name of this road and the name of the school, but some of you can figure it out. It's not that hard. So anyway, I have a job on this big long road up in North Louisiana. It's about as specific as I'll get with this. And we go and do our job, and everything's fine, and we're on this long road. Now, on this road, you're not going to see anything but dirt and grass, and then randomly some oil field locations where they've got the big wells going down. And this road is long, and I mean long. It's one of the longest roads I've ever been on. Well, all of a sudden, my buddy says, "Have you heard about that haunted school?" And then says the name of the school. I was like, "No, where is that at?" He goes, "It's really close to where we're at." I didn't believe him. You got to understand something. I'm on this long road where there's nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing with a capital nothing. The fact that a school could be out here would be the most outlandish thing I could ever hear of. But sure enough, he says, "Follow me." We start driving down this road, and eventually, after what seemed like forever, when the road has yet to end, we start to come across this tall grass. And when I say tall grass, I mean grass that's like 6 feet tall, right off of the side of the road. Well, all of a sudden, we get to this grass, and he goes, "Hey, that's where we're going." And I was like, "Ha ha," I'm laughing at him. Well, all of a sudden, we go and pull over about maybe 20 or 30 yards down the road and pull our trucks off to the side. We get out and he walks me down. Now, as we're walking down, he starts telling me about the story of this school. Now, the story and the lore of this school is this. There was a janitor that was really friendly with all the kids, but eventually this janitor started doing things to these kids that, let's just say, was not good. But the parents found out about it. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds a lot like Freddy Krueger, and that's what I was thinking at the time. But long story short, the story goes that when the parents found out about this, he took some of the kids down to the gym and locked them all in, and then burned the gym down in the school. The school was then shut down, and then the whole town wanted the school to be forgotten about. I'm freaking out as I'm hearing this story. So all of a sudden, we finally walk up to that tall grass I was telling you about earlier. Now, here's the road, and the grass is right here. I'm thinking, where could a school possibly be out here? We walk through the 6.5-foot tall grass, and all of a sudden, after about moving 10 or 15 feet, my heart fell into my chest when all of a sudden I get out of this grass and I see this huge school. I couldn't believe it. How could there be a school out here? I know now why it shut down. Civilization doesn't exist out here. This school was completely run down, covered in graffiti, holes in the ceiling, you name it. Sorry guys, I'm getting creeped out. I got a window right there. And he starts walking through the school. Then he stops me. He goes, "I want to show you something." We back up to the front of the school. He points out in the far right direction, and there's an old water tower that was done for the school. He says late at night, he would take some of his victims and dump the kids in that water tower. And if you listen, you can hear the screaming of the kids. My heart's in my chest at this point. We start walking through this school, and sure enough, what really haunted me is the sight of textbooks, school desks in the rooms. It was this completely dilapidated school, but there was stuff that was still in there. I remember stepping over lockers that had fallen down. I couldn't take it. It was haunting me. Now here's the creepiest thing. In the school, it was covered with graffiti, pentagrams everywhere. The lore of the story, "He found me," or "They caught me," was written over one of the doors that went through this main hallway. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. After that day, I went home and immediately told my wife about the story, and she was looking it up, and she was like, "Don't ever go in there again." A year later, I decided to visit that school again with a friend. I had gotten comfortable, and sure enough, I decided to go back. Well, I went back at night, and the second I pulled up to the school, I instantly knew this was a bad idea. So, we go into the school, and they go this way, I go my way, and I get lost from them. I'm in this pitch black school. I start inching my way out, what I thought was out, but in reality, I was going the wrong way in the school and led down by that gymnasium that burned down. Before I knew it, I cut a right by the gymnasium, and all of a sudden, in the sea of pitch black, but being able to make out a little bit of what's around me, I see candles in the background. And all of a sudden, I get my bearings enough to where my eyes adjust, and I see this group around the candles in the shape of what looked to be like an upside down star, a pentagram. I freaked out and hauled it. I don't know what they were doing or what was going on, but I freaked out, ran out of the school, finally found my way out, ran out to the street, and did not stop till I got down by the car, huffing and puffing. I called my buddy that took me to the school the first time, and I told him what happened. He laughed when I told him, and I couldn't understand why he thought this was so funny. And he goes, "I've seen them too." I was like, "What did you see?" And he goes, "I've seen animals being hung from the roof in that building as a sacrifice. There are cults that go in there and sacrifice animals." I freaked out. I couldn't believe the story I was hearing when he told me that. And sure enough, that cult was there again. Now, I'd read some stories online and forums and blogs that people have also encountered cults at that school. Now, the thing about this story that's interesting is I did some more research about the school. Apparently, the story about the janitor and all, it's not true. None of that was true. It was all made up. But I read that in places like this, if you can cover the school in demonic imagery and the story and the lore of what was going on, you can somehow conjure up that evil spirit and that evil sense in this school. The real story is the school shut down in the late 60s because it couldn't have enough people to fill it. It was too far out there. And then, in the late 80s, the school became, I think it was in college for a few years, but by the late 80s, that shut down because it couldn't sustain enough people there. The school is now private property, and you're not supposed to go on there. You can be trespassed, of course, and believe me, I'm never going on the property ever again. But that was the night I encountered the cult that apparently sacrifice animals at this place. I encourage people to never go to this school, never visit it, but you can go online and read about it. Like I said, I'm not going to say the name, but most of you guys are smart. Louisiana doesn't have that many haunted abandoned schools. But that's the story, guys. So it haunts me till this day, the imagery of that place. It freaks me out. But there it is, guys. That's the story of the school. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.
You